Government whistleblowers bring head-to-head two very important but conflicting national concerns. On the one hand, you have the principle that Congress doesn't need to know everything the executive branch is doing. But on the other hand, our government should generally be open. So what happens for whistleblowers when these two principles collide? Concern about whistleblowers has been around since the Revolutionary War, when sailors complained to a commander that a superior officer was abusing prisoners. Presidents of all political parties have long maintained that the executive branch should be able to keep some secrets from Congress. This view of the executive branch dates back to Thomas Jefferson, who said that the Senate does not need to know everything the executive branch does. In the early 1900s, President Roosevelt and President Taft separately issued gag orders forbidding members of the executive branch to speak to Congress unless they got approval from their department heads. Later on, during the famous Pentagon Papers case, Daniel Ellsberg provided classified documents to the New York Times. His case was actually thrown out because of the prosecutor's ethical violations. But ultimately, the Supreme Court decided the First Amendment rights of those who receive classified documents by whistleblowers. It left open the question, however, of whether whistleblowers themselves are entitled to protection. Really, when you think about it, the line between whistleblower and traitor can be a really fine one, depending on the nature of the information leaked and the conduct of the individual whistleblower. Context and the individual facts are key. Often, a whistleblower is perceived as a hero by some Americans and a villain by other Americans. Take Edward Snowden, for example. On the one hand, you could say that he stole government secrets that were entrusted to him. On the other hand, some people see him as shedding a light on government practices that are really ethically dubious. Edward Snowden believed he had to leak sensitive government information to let the public know that the government was intruding on their private lives in ways they never imagined. On the other hand, the government didn't see it that way and charged him with crimes of espionage. As we sit here today, Edward Snowden lives in Russia in exile. Snowden says he's not asking for a pass, he's just looking for a fair trial. Even if a whistleblower believes their actions are justified under federal law, they will almost surely face an adverse employment action or even prosecution for what they do. It's probably always safer for a whistleblower to go through internal channels instead of releasing information to the public. Going through internal channels does allow for additional procedural safeguards for a whistleblower. The Merit Systems Protection Board is designed to adjudicate claims of whistleblowers. But historically, they almost never rule in favor of whistleblowers, adding yet even more incentive to whistleblowers to really want to stay quiet. Whether the current whistleblower's name will be known or will even face any negative consequences remains to be seen. But whistleblowing is nothing new in the United States, and neither is that tension between the executive branch and Congress.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.